This season for Shweta's Talkies, we shot in Bombay, we shot in Goa, we shot in Delhi. 70 to 100 years of businesses which are still thriving. On a journey with me this season for these heritage businesses and the exceptional personalities which still run it. Stay with me on this season. Enjoy. Very excited to have Mr. Anant Roongta with me, MD of Famous Studios, to talk about the long legendary history of Famous Studios, how his great-grandfather, Mr. J.B. Roongta, started the first AC studios in India back in 1946, and now it's going to be a new age establishment. Welcome to Shweta's Talkies.
Thank you for having me, Shweta. This is indeed going to be an exciting conversation.
I drove across Famous Studio one fine day, and the cab guy told me that it's an absolute institution. This was literally my first 4 hours of first moving to Bombay, and that was my first understanding of the history that Bombay had when it comes to the film industry. You coming from that family, how does it feel now to be in 2023?
My grandfather, my father, they've really maintained the legacy. They have maintained the value systems of the company, and it's really important that I take it forward. And Famous has always had this charm about it, especially with older industry folk, who've been around for 30 plus years. Anant, you have no idea, we've spent days and hours in your corridors, in the edit room, in the sound studio, in the animation studio. So when I hear that, the body language is of awe and of happiness and nostalgia.
Where are we sitting from a historical perspective?
This theatre, okay, so obviously we've done it up recently, but this theatre was built early 50s.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So right now, if you look behind, we have a Barco digital projector, but we had two of those old Christie film projectors, which used to make that tick 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 noise when used to enter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why my dad did this, but we had one, and then he scrapped it. And I was like, why?
Hi, is that machine still there?
No, it's scrapped.
Oh,
He scrapped it. I was like, why would you do that? He's like, nahi, kya farak hai, kuch to paisa mila uska.
But he was a businessman. You can't take that away.
So once I learnt of that, then I basically asked my team members, open all the rooms. जो भी पुराना relic मिलेगा, निकाल के मेरे पास लाओ. And then we...
Curating your history.
Yes.
It is so important
It's
to
so
do that. I'm
important.
so glad you're doing that.
So, whatever we had left, we have kept.
It's interesting. The third generation is usually looking to grow technologically and looking to the future. We're getting into AI, ChatGPT, all of that now. But you said, as a third generation, the value of the company. See, that is the important bit. That is the hard bit.
दादाजी बोलते थे कि जितना पैसा पेट में, जितना पैसा पॉकेट में है, उतना ही इन्वेस्ट करो. Yes, and those were one of the main reasons why we're still very relevant even now, 77 years later. I do respect my competition. I don't want to take any names, but there are unfortunately many players who have opened and shut shop. When it comes to values, our entire industry is talent driven. We've always had this main value system of having an entrepreneurial mindset. So what I mean by that is we've had a lot of creative talent come in. Some of them had been just editors. But now if you see one of our main creative heads who started off as an editor is now managing a team of over 100 people. And we've always offered opportunity. And that opportunity does come with investing in technology. The point of running a business is you're hiring someone who knows how to deliver a certain piece of content better than you do. That's the reason why you hire them. We do want to, and we are exploring the different ways by which technology can make life easier for us, for our clients. But that will also now allow us to produce a lot more content.
On the value bit, and it sounds very romantic to me. What is that one thing you'd say you imbibe now, which comes from your family, grandfather, father? What is that one thing you're practicing, or you think is like a mantra for you to kind of take ahead?
It was one of the best decisions I took personally, to step aside and partner with my cousin brother who had founded a sports tourism company called Fanatic Sports. And 4 years into my journey with this sports company, Dad and me have a very, very big age gap. So he sat me down and he said to me that, "Beta, मेरे से अभी नहीं होगा. And being from a Marwadi family business, I could understand where he came from, but eventually I did decide to exit that business and rejoin the media business. What really has tied me back into the roots of this company is the entrepreneurial mindset, something that my grandfather displayed. It ran in the blood. Dad, when he took over, he was the first person to launch a post-production facility in the country in the late 80s. And somewhere I thought that I need to take that punt and I need to, look at what's relevant moving forward, and then be a complete and be careless. It's important to be careless as an entrepreneur, to make mistakes, but you only make those mistakes if you go in with a full 100%. Secondly, I would say empathy. Empathy has been a very, very important part of our organization. I've always had this thing that I want to keep my team, our talent. If someone is a colorist today, can he enter visual effects? Or if someone is a visual effects supervisor, can he then become a director? It's always about getting them to take or think about the next step.
In today's day and age, I think recently we saw a bit of a handover or changing of hands with RK Studios. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
You have the old Mehboob studio. You guys are still long and tall, standing here.
Yeah, we're still long and tall. In fact, you mentioned RK Studios' first office was at Famous Studios.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. End of the day, for RK Studios, I mean, they also then turned out to become a very, very big production house. So, end of the day, I wouldn't say that they shut down. Yes, maybe the premises was, not there anymore, but they were still a very, very integral part of the industry. There are many studios that have shut down, but then the owners of the promoters have started something else, but still in the industry, But for us, this particular building has obviously been like our backbone, and everything kind of cropped up from here, So whether it's our expansion into the rest of Mumbai, the 2 other facilities we have, and last week, 10 days back, we opened doors to our Hyderabad studio.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And again, Hyderabad we chose because we saw that the next generation of talent, there's a huge availability of really, really good talent in Hyderabad. And at the same time, we want to explore the market in South India as well, because as you're aware, this year, the Oscar-winning titles, RRR, then there's KGF, and we're now working on another big blockbuster film, which I can't say on camera, but that will really put us on the map where processing feature films is concerned.
We'll watch that movie here. Is that possible?
100% once it's released, yes.
Your early reflections of Famous Studio, please. Not just the building, just paint me a picture. What happens? I mean, you obviously didn't have cameras looking like this. You didn't have reels looking like this. We didn't have any of the...
Yeah.
What did it look like?
Very, very grungy, very art deco, very classic in its own way. But there was a sense of romance in the building, And romance, I don't mean in the literal sense romance, but there was, it was a very, very key part of the city, the infrastructure, where there was a sense of community. So when I say community, it is the sense of community. We are considered as the mecca of advertising in India. And why? Because originally in this building, we had about 40 to 50 production houses in the early 1990s, late 80s, who were just dedicatedly making TV commercials. And this entire building offered everything under one roof. The studio, we had film cameras where obviously we used to use celluloid. We had our own color grading and digitisation system, which is called the telecine. And then to go with that, we had set up one of India's first animation studios, which we branded as Famous House of Animation. And that is where we created some insane, content like MTV Poga. We did a lot of clay animation at the time. So a lot of work for Channel V. We worked on brands like BBC, ICICI. So that was a big deal that time, stop motion animation. So we were one of the first to start that. The sound studio opened here in 1992. That was also a really big deal because the gentleman who designed the studio, who's still very much there even today, Andy Munro, that was his first gig in India as a sound studio acoustic engineer, designer. And he's the guy who helped build Abbey Road in London. Oh. So for us, it was a very, very big deal, getting, foreign professional to come down and create this beautiful sound studio. And you won't believe, one of the other memories is the Indian national anthem. Okay, after the Kargil War in 99 or 2000 it was, there was a production house called Bharat Bala. So they basically, I'm sorry, it's Bharat Bala. They basically released the national anthem with all the top honchos of Indian classical music. And you won't believe, the sound studio where they recorded was Galactica A, which is basically Famous Studios.
Okay.
And that was the place where Asha ji and Lata ji sang their first duet together in the same studio.
Oh, wonderful.
And there's actually a video, a BTS video that's out there, which is actually on my LinkedIn profile as well, which talks about that. And, Bharat ji is mentioning in that, it was that iconic Famous Studios building, Asha ji and Lata ji together. Like they're the stalwarts of our...
You were there for the recording. Did you witness it?
So I did witness a bit of it. And even now when if I want to hear the national anthem, it's always that version, because you've got...
Yes,
it's insane. The production and the way, the places where they've shot it, it really gives you goosebumps. And then, one of the other memories was, so Dil Chahta Hai, obviously, the revolutionary movie of our time when we were in grade 7, grade 8. So Koi Kahe, the song was shot at Studio Number 1 here. So the entire nightclub set was built here. And I remember walking down the alley and bumping into... Akshay, Saif and Amir. So I remember, so I said to them, guys, what are you all shooting here? So he said, come, we'll take you inside. So we entered the studio and I see this huge nightclub set. I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going on? And then when I saw the actual footage on screen, it really gave me goosebumps. And now the fact is that song is still played in nightclubs and we still dance on it, right? Because it gives us nostalgia, the memories of, our times when we were trying to break free. Some fascinating memories. Then also, the first time I met Sachin Tendulkar was here when he shot for a Philips ad, like when Philips used to make those big hi-fi music systems. So where the celebrity bit is concerned, yes, I've met pretty much everyone. I've spent a lot of time. I'm not starstruck. I'm not starstruck at all. Honestly, I really respect what they do. They go through a lot of ups and downs in life, and they have to work really hard to reach where they are. But that being said, a lot of respect also for people behind the scenes, production crew, directors, writers. We produce content on a daily basis, so I kind of realize how difficult it is for them now. But hats off. But at the same time, coming back to that 2018 part when I joined Famous, thanks to the OTT platforms and thanks to digitisation in the country, internet reaching, penetrating so many parts of the country, the certain talent in the industry that didn't have a chance now is actually a lot more popular than the, in the true sense. It's become a kind of center for cultural events now. So we have a lot of art shows that take place here. We have like concerts all the time. Even with broadcast, we were very fortunate to have had Viacom host their FIFA World Cup studio here, and then after that IPL.
Sachin Tendulkar, all the top 3 Khans, the top heroes. What did your father witness, and what did your great-grandfather witness? Do you remember those names?
So my grandfather, he's produced a film with Devanand, okay? So he was in that kind of zone. He was a 2-time president of the Indian Motion Picture Association, which still is a very big deal. In fact, when I produced my movie about 4 years back, I didn't realize I had to become a member of IMPA again. So I became a member. That kind of was a bit of nostalgia. Like, I had a very, very deep bond with my grandfather. But I guess because, again, of the age gap, we didn't land up speaking much about his experiences at Famous. But on and off, I used to ask him, and he used to talk about, these old movies like Sita or Geeta, was part of it was shot here. Many other films, even in the 1990s, Fir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani, then I mentioned Dil Chahta Hai. So he had this typical dress. He used to wear this white Marwadi like jacket, dhoti, and he used to wear that kala Rajasthani topi, and he used to come with his walking stick. And dhoti ke upar there used to be very patla ganji, and So I've kept his jacket with me, and when I smell his jacket once in a while, when I miss him, it reminds me of the smell in his office. And I remember at that time, whenever I used to come, there used to always be this one guy in our cafe downstairs who used to make the best mocha. Okay, and if you speak to people who've been again 20, 30 plus years in the industry, one of them will definitely either mention the sandwich or they'll mention the mocha. Dadaji's office and the entire corridor which is there was all full of post-production technology. Like I mentioned, telecine, film recorder, smoke and fire, these CGI edit machines or whatever you want to call them. The cafe was then taken over by Barista. When Barista came, it became a big deal, remember?
Yeah, those are the big
cafe concept coming to India. So Barista took over a place. That also became a big hit.
What were the instruments that kids or people joining the industry will not see anymore, which you used then?
One is celluloid, which, fortunately, touch wood, there are still some directors and producers who wish to...
Celluloids are those...
Yeah, the negatives. The old जो camera में जो अपने film लेके उसको process करते थे. So,
वो तो दिखता नहीं अभी तो.
दिखता नहीं है. But for example, Oppenheimer was shot on celluloid.
70 something it
70
was.
70 millimeter IMAX. Reason why a movie like an Oppenheimer, or maybe, I'm not sure if Top Gun was shot, I think Top Gun was a digital shoot. But the reason why people shoot on film is because the amount of information you get on each frame is far superior than what you would get on a digital camera.
I see.
And when you're making a movie like Oppenheimer, where he's used minimal vision effects, it's more practical effects. Now, because there is a demand for more content, like today we go on Netflix and say you get hooked onto a show, you want to see the episode as soon as the next episode, as soon as you finish the first. You don't want to wait. Just a month back, we had one of the very, very senior executives of WPP had come to meet me. And I made it a point to show him this studio. And then I took him to the new studio in Andheri, which is obviously a lot more modern and digital. And the thing he said to me after he left, he's like, Anant, you have a legacy which no one else has. You must make the most of it. And the way you have retained the old and the new, it's really, really commendable. So that inspired me a lot.
So you haven't bitten the bullet yet. You've retained it. It's a fully family funded.
It's a full family funded.
Full family funded. It's literally.
It's all family effort, I would say. It's the time that the family is put in.
But does it break your heart a little bit if you're moving into now you're 2023, you're gonna at one day reach 2030, 2040, 50. Does it break your heart a little bit because you might have to kind of marry into the new age and bits and pieces of.
My thing is, when I look at the industry, look at numbers, content is just going to keep going up and up. And you still need human intervention. AI is not going to be 100% replacement factor. You do need human intervention. And without that...
I totally agree. But अब मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ, लड़ाई हुई थी अपने new ideas देने में. मतलब, was it an effort? Because every guy who's getting into family business.
So, Papa के साथ इतनी लड़ाई नहीं हुई. No, Papa and me are completely poles opposite when it comes to communication.
As a lot of them are.
So, yes, initially बहुत frustration हुआ. Especially the first stint in Famous, 09 to 14. I was like, fuck am I doing here? Not really.
You were overseas and then you came back. You studied overseas.
I studied overseas. I did my university in the UK. Came back. I worked with Mumbai International Airport for a year because I love aviation. Oh. Yeah, aviation is like I would say my first love. It's just
I just manifested famous airlines for you.
Well, maybe not airlines. That's not very profitable business, but hopefully a private jet.
Shit, yes.
I mean, honestly, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur in a media business. I thought I would be a pilot because that was my kind of dream job, flying a plane. But never got around doing it because, again, family business, ek ladka, Marwadi family, plane kaise udayega, that typical stuff. So yeah, me and Dad had our moments, of disagreements. Yeah. But I think over the course of time, I think somewhere father wants to see that the next generation has the intent to maintain and grow.
The weight on your shoulder to find, now if you're looking at one thing is go outside, get the money, you operate it and make it happy for them. The second way to find a smart investor who will actually grow the vision.
That is
the weight to the weight to find that kind of smart investor would be my long haul right now. I mean, are you still?
No, so you have actually hit the bullseye. We don't want someone who will come in and just be like, chalo, check lo, and mujhe 10% 10x, not that, sorry, 10%, no one really,
Abhi da-
no one
abhi
gives a shit about
10%
10% anymore. 10x return or 5x return in 3-4 years. We would prefer to stay away from those investors. I would rather have someone who is a strategic investor, someone who can sit on our board and can work with me parallelly to really build the business. The reason I have that confidence is because most of my team members, I have a very family kind of equation with them. You know, if I am not happy about something, I don't feel that, oh, if I'm going to say something to this guy, he might walk away. Because these days, tolerance is, obviously, we're all aware, tolerance as a word does not exist in the dictionary anymore.
If God called you over for a tea and told you, bring to famous studios the one movie you want to produce and shoot, which one would it be?
Wow, that's a
Besides
tough one.
Oppenheimer.
Well, Oppenheimer's now, it's done. I think,
Even if it's an old movie.
if it's you mean reproduce an old movie?
Yeah, if you had to redo it.
Border. Because I'm a sucker for the armed forces. For me, like, they're my true heroes. And
Beautiful.
you know, if I even see someone from the army standing in front of me, it's an automatic kind of emotional thing that goes in my mind. You know, the only thing I think of is, okay, maybe this guy tomorrow will be at 18,000 feet saving my ass. The 71 war by itself was a story, man. Like, there's so many things about the war that civilians don't know.
Given the chance, you'd shoot a story like that all over
100%.
again.
There's absolutely no question. I mean, even if it takes me 10 years to make the film, I'll wait 10 years.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Everybody good to know. A commentary on Indian technology versus overseas. What's happening?
Indian technology is being exported everywhere. Okay, I think technology in India in general has a massive future. Okay, especially things like drones. There are a lot of drone companies that Indian government is pushing to make in India for defense. When it comes to the next big commodity or a resource that is going to be very scarce is going to be water. You know, a lot of people investing within India on renewable energy sources. Then obviously solar's still has a massive potential in the country. And I think where India's goals for the whole climate crisis are concerned, I think we're one of the only countries that are actually ahead of our commitments right now. So yes, technology from that point of view, brilliant. I think where media entertainment is concerned, I think the time for India right now is the time for our creativity and our talent.
You're as a businessman, I do think when we go overseas, we have an edge over other businessmen. भाई देसी को जैसे धंधा करना आता है, किसी को नहीं आता. I mean, he can go survive well, and he will somehow make it. What edge do you think Indian talent has over, let's say, overseas talent? One thing I know, we are naturally trilingual.
Yeah.
English हिंदी तो आती है हमें, और अपना एक
You know, language is not even a barrier anymore.
I'm just saying in terms of the kind of aesthete we are brought up in.
Yes.
I'm from Odisha, I'll have that angle. Let's say your family came from Rajasthan.
Yes.
Back in the 1800s, you said. You will have that angle. What edge do you think we have?
I think,
besides the obvious.
I think Indian talent, they're just very, very aspirational now. The next generation, they want to get somewhere, you know. And most of these kids who are coming from tier 3 cities, I mean, I don't like even using that word tier 3. But
I understand. They're fairly developed.
They're fairly developed now, but these kids don't have much exposure. So for them, every day is a survival, you know. And because of that desperation, they will get the job done.
Beautiful.
आज मैं यदि मेरा
They're
काम
hungry.
नहीं, they're hungry. आज मैं ठीक से काम नहीं किया तो मेरे को रात को खाना नहीं मिलेगा या सोने को जगह नहीं मिलेगा. So there is a lot of fire, but the problem that we are lacking right now is mentorship. So that's why, you know, coming back to the previous point of creativity and talent, today I'm sure where you come from, even if I go back to my hometown, I spent 7 days with that munim of that house that we used to live in, he'll tell me 20 stories which are OTT worthy.
Correct.
So
Correct.
the point
Correct.
is, आज मैं कारगिल भी गया था, few of the senior officers I met, they all have so many stories to tell. Till about 10-12 years back when we used to travel abroad, we used to be like, देखो यहाँ पर सब कितना अच्छा है. And then we used to bring it back, and then we used to be, अरे वापस आ गए यहाँ पर. 1 week to recover, then slowly, you know, dragging our ass to work, and then becoming productive after a month. But now, like, honestly, I don't feel that. I feel when I'm traveling abroad, my chest is like, thumping.
Nice and proud.
Yeah, I'm proud, man. Like today, there's enough that, we've leaped, we've actually grown so much in the last 10 years. And our soft power, of course, let's not even get there. It's just unbelievable. I think our kids can really, they can go anywhere in the world.
They'll have it a lot easier than our parents
Yeah,
did.
100%.
What I would, and this is something which even if I didn't write down for this talk show, I'd ask you, what are the actors you would look up to? Men, women,
Okay.
or invite back,
So in terms
whether they are
of
there or
actors,
not.
I'm only going to say this because based on interactions I've had.
Of course,
I'm not going
that's
to.
how you'll, yeah.
Amir Khan for sure.
Erudite.
About issues, yes, he might have different opinion from me
Fair enough.
or from others,
Fair enough.
but at least he's not afraid of saying it.
Fair enough.
And he speaks, he says it with a very, very correct attitude, according to me. I think he is one of the all-time greats.
Greats.
Like an Amir Khan should resurrect every generation.
I hear you.
You know.
I hear you.
Obviously, Amitabh ji, this is no question. I mean, I've not really interacted with him much. I've met him on a couple of occasions, but very, very warm. And, and maybe he was really warm to me because most of his career he spent here, come to Famous to shoot. And even when...
I think he gave your dad an award back in the days.
Yes, he had
Some
given
pictures
dad
of
an
that.
award. It was some Jubilee Celebration Award, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, we have a photo of that as well. And the funny part is both of them are like exactly dressed the same.
Yes, I saw that.
Boot-cut trousers, belt, that silk shirt, printed shirt, like long hair, and I think that was just an amazing photo. In terms of lead actresses or actresses in general, more recently I've had the opportunity of working with Kirti Kulari. Okay, wonderful person,
Yes.
and very, very focused. Deepika Padukone, I had the opportunity of, she was sitting with me on the plane on the way back from one of my Hyderabad visits. Supremely intelligent, okay? And the whole conversation went to a complete technical conversation. Oh, so how are you going to grade this movie? And there's so much blue screen. How long will the VFX take? And, how are you treating this shot and
knew
that
more than
shot?
you?
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Okay.
And that itself was really, really impressive. And I also observed just the body language. Her body language was like full attention to detail, man. Like everything was perfect. She removed her shoes, kept it below the seat in front. She passed out. And like it was all perfectly done. The shoes were kept together, the laces were put on top. So, I really respect that. I love Akshay Kumar, okay? I think he's brilliant. One character that should never ever die is Babu Rao Ganpat Rao Apte from Hera Fairy. In a
You
shitty
think the
mood.
new generation will still respond to that? Or
I actually, my daughter loves Hera Fairy. She keeps saying, Papa, that actor now who wears that big chashma, it looks like that magnifying glass. मेरे को वो picture देखना है. So, I guess if the father watches that kind of stuff, the daughter also follows it. Just
so you're
how
doing
it
the
is.
imbibing job pretty well.
Yeah. Even the old Govinda style comedy, I thought was
Slapstick.
brilliant.
Was it the genre slapstick? Was
Yeah,
it? Bit
slapstick. Yeah, you need to create that stuff, because that is really showing, India, and then Govinda's the way his dialogue delivery is so quick, like chapar 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 chapar, and you still manage to understand what he's saying, and you're laughing all the way.
So your first day ever, officially or semi-officially, what did it look like? Back at your own offices.
So I would say I've had two first days.
Okay.
The first day was in 2009. The second first day was in 2018. The first 2009, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay.
I was like, dude, like my office is somewhere on the second floor. Team members are like sitting 1 kilometer away in some other building. And, I enter and it's just this really stale vibe. Then I realized that I don't know shit about the industry. So I started sitting with the editors. So the first day I sat with one of my editors. मैं भैया क्या कर रहे हो? Like sir, इसमें ये आया है, इसको clean up कर रहे हैं, इसमें packaging कर रहे हैं. So that kind of was the story for the first few months. And then it went on to researching the market. अब मार्केट रिसर्च भी पढ़ो तो साला वो नंबर्स वो एक ही आ रहा है, बढ़ नहीं रहा है, कम भी नहीं हो रहा है, हो क्या रहा है इंडस्ट्री में. वो फिल्म वाला Same stat. 2000 movies are made in India every day, but only 10% make the cinema. 2010, the same thing. 2000 movies are made every day. सिर्फ 10 movies जाते हैं cinema में. That just went on and on and on. Famous is a very old-time creative head, very, very, he's like the guru of advertising right now. So he drops me a message on Facebook. He's like, Anant, do you remember me? I said, Jayant, I remember meeting you once at Famous, whatever. He's like, are you planning on coming to the US? And I just planned at that time to go for one of our trade shows that happens in Vegas called NAB. It's been awesome. But the rest of it was all very haphazard. Then we explored setting up a facility in the US.
Okay.
So we reached a stage where we had identified this company based out of Paris, almost signed an MOU with them. And then I come back and then, I don't want to say anything against my dad here, but he's like, I'm not going to let you do this.
वो memorandum of misunderstanding हो गया.
I was like,
Instead of understanding.
He's like, नहीं तुम यहाँ का ही नहीं संभाल पा रहा, तुम वहाँ का क्या संभालेगा? I said, भैया यहाँ पर कुछ
Yeah,
संभालने
all
कोई
dads
नहीं
sound
है.
like that.
अरे यहाँ पर कुछ संभालने कोई नहीं है, यहाँ growth नहीं है. At least let's try for a year. What's the worst that will happen? I'm not asking you to sell your house to do this, no? So 2013 we set up a visual effects facility in Calcutta for one of our clients there, Shri Venkatesh Films. They're the largest producers in the Northeast. So one of my elder sisters, she lives there, and I go to her house for lunch, and my cousin brother, who then eventually became my partner, he was watching some really cool video which had all these footage of cricket and football and Olympics, and the video ends and it says Fanatic Sports Bespoke Sports Tours, simple. I was like, Bhaiya, this is awesome, yeah. What is this? He's like, oh, Anant, I just set up this company 2-3 months back, and my first tournament is the T20 World Cup in Bangladesh, which was 2014. It was December or something like that. And again, that turned out to be a full-blown discussion, and then I invested some money in the company and became a partner.
Fabulous!
That was and that was really cool because I remember when I agreed to join him, Dadaji passed away July 2014, and 3 weeks later was my first official trip with Fanatic, and I landed up in Australia. Okay, 1 month before that, I was like, I have no fucking clue what my life is going to be after 1 month. And after 1 month, I'm standing in the MCG, then the SCG, and we're exploring all these stadiums. I'm like, what is happening? For me, sports has always been a very big thing, right? Going and watching live sport. And I couldn't believe that my first major tournament was going to be the Cricket World Cup 2015.
Okay.
Till I didn't reach Australia with the fans, I couldn't believe that I was in that business. Then it was a complete different
Ball game.
Outlook. So I completely discounted what issues were there at the time. I started seeing what is it that I can add on top, because I understood that, okay, for me, I don't need to sit behind the machine. I need to look at developing the business. If I develop the business and I offer something exciting to the market, not only will clients come to me, but the next generation of talent also will be interested to join.
You cleared a certification from Netflix for production.
Yeah.
It's a quality.
So actually 2018, we were certified as a Netflix post-production partner. Slowly, steadily, we then worked on other certifications, which basically give a stamp of approval to content creators that these guys are compliant with updated security compliances.
I see.
Because, as you're aware, piracy and all these things are a big, big problem in our industry. So that allows a certain level of comfort for us as well as the potential partner from whom we will source work. That, okay, these guys know their shit and, they've got our content is safe while it's at their studio.
Before Netflix, was there any certain?
No,
nothing.
Nothing. Everyone was just, the producer was responsible for his own content. Obviously, I think India mein it's always been a verbal thing, right? मुंह जबानी.
थोड़ा मुंह जबानी.
भाई, आपका जबान का value है या ना है? And just a couple of days back, we got our certification from Amazon Prime Video as well.
Oh,
which is
congratulations!
A big thing.
That's also good.
But the first thing was, how do I resurrect this building? There was like this huge surge of people who wanted to go out. It's like
Revenge going out. People with revenge going out. Yes.
And we were so occupied last year just with events because we have that kind of space, right? So that did really well. We resurrected about 20,000 square feet of our space here and converted into our co-working space called...
You're 110,000 square feet on plate, is
Yes,
it? Or is
yeah.
it...
It's, no, 110,000 built up. Yeah. So about 20 to 25,000 square feet has gone into office spaces, co-working spaces. And the cool thing is now we've got all these startups here, you know, healthcare,
That's
fintech,
lovely.
events, media. So again, and you won't believe the principals of these startups, the promoters, they love the place. They're like, so much space per square feet, high ceilings, art deco, and touch wood, majority of the companies that are operating from here are scaling up.
Oh, excellent.
And they want to scale up here. So now we're opening another section of our building where two of the companies have requested for an additional 70 to 80 seats each. Because of all this existing infrastructure, we have the shooting floors, ready-made sets, visual effects,
This theatre
the
itself.
edit setups, whatever. I mean, and it's very easy to set these things up, you know. Space is there. But obviously the main pulling factor was the studio and all this new technology. So we also had motion capture, you know. We partnered with, a company in the UK called Centroid. And Centroid in the UK is based out of Pinewood Studios, where
I see.
the 007 James Bond stage is. And I had a chance to see it. I was like...
Actually, the lucky one.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
cinema.
I saw the actual main script of Casino Royale in London when I was there 3 years back.
Oh,
So
wow.
the cars that were used in all the Bond films, so once in a lifetime kind of experience.
I think you have a fan following now in my team. I don't think they're leaving you anytime soon.
More than happy to take them along.
Mr. Roongta, you want to give parting notes for the future now. What?
Look, for me, I think this industry that we're in has a massive future. Not only in terms of India, but the world is going to come to India. And the content...
This is your firm belief or this is a fact?
It is a fact. A very classic example is 6 months back what we saw with RRR.
Absolutely.
Soft power.
Absolutely.
And we are making content for the world. Okay? We don't realize the amount of content... Indian movie... I'm not going to take the word Bollywood because there are other...
Yeah, I understand. This
region,
Indian film
content
industry
is being consumed like crazy outside. Okay?
Kantara for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mind-blowing.
And again, some of the movies that are being produced with the small stories that really matter, our country runs on emotion, boss. आप आज ये भी देखो KBC 1 घंटे का शो है 50 मिनट is only about that one contestant who's won the fastest finger first. उसका history क्या है?
True. True.
सर मैं रोज 50 किलोमीटर चल के जाता हूँ स्कूल में पढ़ाने, for example. And the remaining 10 minutes is the Q&A, which nobody really cares about anymore.
Yeah.
But people are watching that show because they are talking about that fellow's history.
Correct.
हमारे देश में जो emotion है ना boss, there's no other place in the world that there's a blend of emotion and culture. So people are looking to see,
put that emotion onto
because
celluloid.
The world has become so competitive. It's so cutthroat. We're so influenced. At some point, everybody wants to stop and just enjoy the small things in life.
How
and
interesting.
India is a land where we have those small things. And we need to project it out there, boss. It's just as simple as that.
So I think I need to. This was fabulous. We are coming back to Famous Studio, and is anything going to change from here next 2 years? I'm talking about short future.
Short future, yes. Lot of blend of old and new.
Oh,
I
nice.
will want to retain what we stand for. But a lot of new technology coming in. A lot of big films that we are already working on, big OTT series. So you will see our name, fortunately, out there in many, many more credit lists.
Fabulous.
And yes, next year I want to get into full-scale film production as well.
Are passionate about? I'm
yeah.
looking forward
I'm
to
not
it.
going to just do anything. But yeah, it's going to be a blend. There's going to be a lot more team members joining in.
Right.
Maybe a few more divisions opening up. There could be greenfield divisions, not entirely related to what we're currently doing. Could be new technologies, and for example, one of them would definitely be coding and AI.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
I would like to speak more about this, but I myself don't know where that's going to go because AI is still talk of the town.
We're going to come back to you because even I don't know what I'm talking about right now when it comes to AI.
So we're at the moment, just obviously exploring it, and we'll see where it goes, man. The point is, we have to look at the future, and but for us, collaboration is going to be very, very important over the next few years. Global collaboration, not only in India.
All the best with that.
Thank you so
we
much,
We are going
and-
to get there. We're going to do a cheers to
Cheers.
Shweta's Talkies and Famous
Yes,
Studios. This
and-
was lovely.
Thank you for having me.